All right, Sivert, my co-founder with the most Norwegian name ever. How are you?
Feeling good, doing good?
Feeling good, doing good. You guys probably know who I am, but would you like to introduce yourself for the audience quickly?
Of course. So we have run the agency since the summer of 2023, and I'm responsible for most of the marketing in the agency to get people in, and also the social media advertising part of it.
Yes, sir. So, as you said, about 2 years since we met, and a lot has happened in those 2 years. We'll get into all of that. But first of all, how did you get into the whole entrepreneurship game? You've run some businesses or ventures before, so run the audience through that quickly.
Yeah. I started with doing like pressure washing.
Yeah.
So pressure washing, I was on Fiverr as an online personal trainer.
Like a fitness coach?
Yeah, but I did that for like a week. But the pressure washing, everything like that. But where I'm from, in the most northern part of Norway, the snow comes like in September. So I couldn't do pressure washing. So I started SMMA after watching Iman's video, same as you.
Yeah.
So
What is this?
it was that it must have been 2022, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the summer 2022.
Okay. So you ran that for about a year until we met. And what was the success like?
We both were at like 1K a month at tops.
Yeah, when we met each other.
Yeah.
So basically a year of no progress for both of us. I had a pretty similar story. I've been in the online entrepreneurship game since like I was 12. Minecraft servers, NFT projects, also like freelancing on Fiverr. I've done all of it. And same as you started an agency in 2022, a year without any real success. And then we met on LinkedIn actually, which is pretty random. Nobody believes us when we say that we met on LinkedIn.
We met on LinkedIn. It's like super unusual for people our age here in Dubai, especially. No one uses LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But then we met for the first time, like in person, 2024.
2023. No, 2020.
No, yeah, Brazil.
And we'll get into all of that. So it's been a weird journey, like personally between us. But point is, we met, I would say, around spring of 2023.
Yeah.
And then just began talking on LinkedIn and then Telegram daily, just like accountability partners, basically. And during the summer of 2023, we decided to start something together with two more guys.
Yeah, so 4 co-founders.
Yeah, so the agency was actually 4 people originally. We ended up buying those guys out because of personal reasons. Not going to get into that, but
that was costly.
Yeah, but point is, we started the agency in summer 2023, began growing. When did we hit our first like big month, 10K a month?
And so everyone knows Alex is responsible for numbers, so I should be asking this because I don't remember.
Okay, fair. So the first 10K a month was in January of 2024. So it took us about 4 months from launch, if you consider like, because we started working on it during the summer and then we had like an official launch date during the autumn. So it took us about 4 months and it was a lot of trying and failing and just doing all of the possible bullshit to get to that point.
Everything.
So what was, in your eyes, the biggest lever for us actually getting to that 10K?
We went from doing organic, social, building websites, search engine optimization, SEO,
to just doing ads. Exactly. Yeah, so we started with like the whole fleet of services. We're doing everything we could just like imagine. We had like the craziest website with like probably 50, 20 different services if you broke it down. And then we realized that that's not really the way to go about it because, of course, service delivery and delivering amazing results is the most important part of running a successful agency and what got us to 100K a month.
Also, like me and you switching because you did a bit of everything, I did a bit of everything. I even did Google.
Yeah.
I haven't touched Google in like 2 years now. So you focused on Google, I focused on social media. And then I remember like very specifically, you just locked in on Google, bought like a lot of courses, mentorships, and just became a big nerd at Google. And I did the same a few months after with paid social.
Yeah.
And that was like a pivotal moment in terms of just that clarity with what it actually takes. Just focusing on service delivery.
Yeah. And then we hit 10K a month pretty quickly after that. But still, like, we make it sound like we had everything figured out. We didn't. It was just like a lot of still hustling and trying and like sending cold emails and cold like LinkedIn DMs, posting on LinkedIn. I think we were in our first newspaper back then.
Yeah.
So still, we figured this one thing out, but we still had everything around that was kind of holding us back from scaling past those 10K a month figures, which we stayed at for a couple months. And then we began growing again. Do you remember what happened, what we did to our pricing?
We switched to performance-based payments. So we stopped like at retainers. We had like $600 retainers. We like stuck at that. And then we just said we take 5% of your revenue that you generate from the ads. And that was quite a big loose short term.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I preach in my YouTube videos and the way I recommend new agency owners to price their services based on performance. There are like tons of benefits to it. Of course, now we have gone away from that again. I'll get back into it. It's like this angel hypocrite. Yeah, it's a hypocrite. No, I'll get into why. But the point is, when you begin charging based on performance, allows you to charge much more per client.
Yeah.
Because the client is okay with paying you 3, 4, 5, 6K a month, even though you're a small agency. If you deliver them, let's say 100K a month in revenue, just like a no-brainer for them. Only you are responsible for the results. So if you want to get better, you just have to buy more courses or get more knowledge, become better at what you do.
Yeah.
My apologies. And it's just like the reason why we started the agency is to get good at business. Agencies is not going to take us to, let's say, $1 billion, but it is like lays the foundation for every single part of running a business, and then just having that drive to become better every single day, because you get this direct attribution and direct,
It correlates very much how much you know and how much you make. I think it's good for like sharpening your teeth, basically.
Yeah.
And also it's like good for your personal development, but also for just positioning as an agency, because when you're at like 10K, you need some way to like differentiate. And if you're young, most people are. If you're like competing in a big, more like formal market, you're trying to break through, like SMMA is very saturated, then it makes sense to go on a performance basis, because you have some different unique skew on how to like position yourself compared to everyone else.
Yeah. And it makes sales calls like the easiest calls ever. Like I would say that I don't want to speak for you, but I suck at sales still, just because our sales calls have been so easy. I have never basically dealt with any objections.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get like technical objections, like how can we do like the contract period, stuff like that. But just like people actually objecting to our service, that never happens.
No.
Because when we jump on a call, they're already warmed up. They're already like on the performance basis, like there's no risk to them.
We should also talk about like what builds that trust, but we'll get into that with how we generate these leads.
Yeah.
But yeah, we never had the objection on the sales calls when I think about it.
So yeah. So many people, like when I tell them that, they're like, you're bullshitting, because all they do is deal with objections. Yeah. But it's because they have built like the wrong type of acquisition that gives them like the coldest leads ever. Actually, remember you got a call from an ad recently?
Yeah, I can talk about that. Like we did run some ads. I got like 3 bookings. One of them showed up. So that's ads for issue number 1. Yeah. And of course, we didn't have like the backend to fulfill that, because as you said, we have always super warm leads. So normally when I jump on the call, it's like, oh, what's up? How you doing? And they're like, oh, so nice to talk to you. And like, then they call you and yeah, what's the link? And in this case, the guy that was completely cold from ad, he was like super distant. It was awkward. Like I got grabbed by the boss.
That's the way most people build their agencies, which is so weird to me that people, I guess, enjoy that and don't want to.
That's because that's what everyone teaches on YouTube, because that's the fastest path. Like it's easier to launch ad than to build up a foundation the way we have done it with our inbound strategy.
And that's a good transition into the whole system of how we actually book meetings. I mentioned LinkedIn slightly a couple minutes ago, but we've been posting like 2 years now, more than 2 years, when we were running our own agencies. That's again how we met. I think either I saw your post or you saw my post, something like that.
You sent me a message.
Yes, exactly. Then we ended up just like linking up based on LinkedIn. But point is, we've been posting on LinkedIn for like 2.5 years now. Yeah. And I think around this mark, between like 10 to 20K a month, we began actually seeing some type of traction from LinkedIn. In the beginning, it was just people being warmer to us because they have seen on LinkedIn, not necessarily that they booked through LinkedIn. But how has this like whole LinkedIn process been for you from start to where we are now?
Yeah, we started out mostly with a bit of same with like in terms of services in the agency, we did a bit of everything. On LinkedIn, we talked about everything. And I remember we bought a LinkedIn coach that taught us some very good lessons in terms of just how to actually make sales from LinkedIn. So basically what we do there, I look at my calendar and I look at sales calls and calls I have with the team and anything. And then what questions did they ask me? I also use a note taker so I can look back, like what were the questions from their end. And then that is like a big topic for Hook. Like, for example, if I talk with 5 eCom stores in 1 week and everyone talks about how they don't trust their agency because they're bad at reporting, then I write a post like why agency reporting usually sucks, ... And this changes everything. Like, we have a big library of hooks and then I just take the topics from my calendar basically.
Yeah.
So that generates like actual relevant leads, and it's basically a market of one because I'm the only one talking about what happens in my calendar. We basically just give away everything on Kling.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, it has a lot of like buy products as well, like us being able to hire better because we have a bigger network. But just on the acquisition side, what has the effect been to the agency?
I think we're booking like 7 qualified calls a week from LinkedIn, and it's given us. We've been featured in the second and first largest newspaper in Norway, Dagens Næringsliv VG.
Yep.
And also I've been in like the biggest in northern Norway multiple times, so it gives us a lot of authority. I would say that's the biggest.
Yeah. You think you would be able to get into those newspapers without LinkedIn, or not really?
I think they would be like, if I sent them just an email proposing to schedule something or try something out, they would have nothing to look at to basically qualify what I do. So I think they would look at us like every single other young entrepreneur trying to break through and trying to be cool, but now we actually have something to show for it, social proof.
Yeah, exactly. And it creates a nice feedback loop. So you build like some kind of user base on LinkedIn, you reach out to the newspaper, you get featured, that brings you much more views on your LinkedIn profile, impressions, followers, likes, comments, which again causes bigger newspapers to pick it up, because the first newspaper we were in wasn't like the biggest in the United States or
small ones. Yeah, I think we talked about that like a couple months ago. We recognized that big flywheel effect. Basically, like, I get a lot of engagement on LinkedIn. That's because of the newspaper, but the newspaper is because of the engagement and like the following.
Yeah.
So it's exponential.
Yeah. And we see like a nice uptick in like the website clicks, for example. After every newsletter, we like see like 3-4 times more people clicking on the website in the like coming week.
Yeah.
So it's been a big reason behind the LinkedIn success, I guess, just focusing on those more legacy media types of promotion that I've never heard anyone talk about in the agency game. So listen up and take notes. This is a nugget.
LinkedIn is a very mature platform. Like, you want to build something very long-term and professional. Like the way we have made the agency, it's basically like it can be able to run without us if we want to make it so. And we have like actual MRR, like clients that stay with us because we focus on the service delivery. And that means that there are less churn. Like most of these lead gen agencies I see that people teach about and talk about on YouTube, it's like they churn 25%. Then they have to get that in. And if they like stop taking cold calls and sales calls all night, they basically just slowly die out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good segue into the other reason behind our scale from 10 to 50K a month. So we had this whole acquisition part.
Yeah.
But you also need to sustain those clients, deliver a service. And at this point, we began slowly hiring people. Our first hire was the VA, I believe.
Yes.
And then we had the guy who was our creative strategist now. So walk me a bit through how we've thought about hiring and what mistakes we did hiring between 10 and 50K a month.
Yeah. I think like we started with the virtual assistant, which was absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And we got her full-time after working some time part-time. And then we got the guy who is now our creative strategist. We have trained him for like 2 years now.
Oscar, shout out. You're doing a great job.
we have trained him so good that some clients is trying to poach him, basically take him from our agency and hire him in-house.
Yeah.
So yeah, hire for attitude, train for skill. But we started with that. He then did just video edits and like small tasks, just operation stuff. And then we hired actual creative strategists. He is not in agency no more. And then we had quite a big like jump all the way until October, November 2024.
Yeah.
We hired our first media buyer for Meta.
Yeah.
And then I was distant a lot from the service delivery. I was able to work more strategically, not in the accounts. And sales for our clients exploded, like in a good way. And then you saw the benefits of like me being able to work more on the business. Then we found someone on Google who is no longer with us. And we've now found a replacement, which is doing a great job scaling every single account. And then we have supplemented with another video editor, turned Oscar, which was the video editor, into our creative strategist. We have gotten a graphic designer. We were, we had a secondary Meta Ads media buyer. Yeah, that we worked this way to sell our role. Yes, I'm getting to that. We worked with her for 1 month. Then we had a CSM, which is basically a client success manager. We worked for him for like 1 month, 2 months.
Yeah.
And then both of those are not with us anymore.
So as you probably hear, a lot of the people that we had hired are now out of the picture.
Yes.
And that is because our hiring wasn't and probably still like isn't perfect. It is still a work in progress. And that is a very important skill that you begin learning once you cross the, like, I'd say 50K a month mark, when you begin expanding out the team and trying to delegate some of the tasks. What would you say is the biggest lesson we have learned in actually hiring? And then I will get to firing in a second after you answer that.
Yeah. As they say about hire fast, no? Hire slow, fire fast. I think that the biggest in terms of hiring is just actually having a bunch of applicants.
Yep.
And that's like I talked about, did I talk about like the domino service delivery? If you have that, you have less churn and everything.
No.
Okay, but basically that's the big domino. When you focus on getting a lot of applicants when you are in hiring processes, that's like the biggest domino because you have a lot to choose from. And our struggle was, and in some ways still is, that we're not able to get like 500 good applicants in. We did use a recruitment agency for our first hire. They had like a big like library of different people that applied. And that led to us having like an incredible good hire. So that's something we're trying to figure out. We have identified that to be like the biggest lever. So I think like that's the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, exactly. Just having a big pool of applicants to select from, and then chance that you find a good one out of 500 is much higher than the chance that you find a good one out of 20 or 30 applicants.
And also like for these hires that we did lay off, it's like 4 or 5 people now.
Yeah.
I did ask them during the recruitment, like, oh, you have big goals, you're ambitious, you work hard. And maybe I asked some more tricky questions, but I concluded with these people being good on all fronts.
Yeah.
So what we're doing now to make sure that we get a way stronger mentality in the agency and like a better work culture, and people want to actually work hard and long hours, we're trying to like make people, and this might sound weird, make people deliver like test tasks. Like we pay them for a small case study or something they can make for us. We talk with them 3 p.m. and we say, can you deliver this by 8 p.m.? Yeah, that's something we're changing now in our hiring. And also we're trying to book calls with them like in the weekends to see if they work then, if they're proactive. But yeah, not even if they just work in the weekends. That's not the most important thing, but if they actually want to take the initiative and like meet us, even though they're not supposed to, it's the weekend. So just testing them in some different ways.
Yeah, exactly. Because in interviews, you can ask as many questions as you want, and people will tell you what they think you want to hear, which usually is what you want to hear.
Yeah.
People like know what the right answer is, but they can't really bullshit themselves through a test task if it's set up correctly.
Yeah.
So that's a key when actually hiring. doing like the physical tasks, not just asking questions. And then when we actually hired those people,
They suck.
and they suck. What do we do? What did we do first? And like, what is the conclusion that we should be doing?
Yeah. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but we spent like 2-3 months debating if they are a right fit or not.
Yeah.
That cost us some like tens of thousands, maybe.
I think over 100,000 because we need.
Listen. First of all, tens of thousands just in their cost, their salary.
Yeah.
And then we flip the coin and we look at the 6 clients that we lost the past like 2 months from these ones. And that's big.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time. We basically waited until we saw that the client results were shit.
Until the clients actually began churning.
Yeah. And then we like, okay, we're letting you go. Like we hopped on a call with them and said this. What we should be doing and what we are doing now, looking for some early signs. We have like the strike system if they like mess stuff up.
Yeah.
Basically taking note of that, not just mentally, but we're putting it into a system and we're making sure that the right people in the first place. It's like more foundational thinking. But if they're not, we strike like if they do something bad. And yeah, what more? We try to like just fire fast. We have done like, okay, so we're using this coming month or the finishing days or weeks of this current month to basically have an offboarding period for you to onboard us to what you've done, your systems, and to take over the accounts.
Yeah.
But that has lost us a lot of money, so we're just starting to take them over immediately.
Yeah,
You already see that.
if you see that a person isn't the right fit, then what is the point in like keeping them on for another 2 weeks managing the accounts because they will only lose you more money? So,
And they invoice you like 3 times.
and they still invoice you, yeah, for that time, of course. So like what we found the best thing is to just like kick them out the day off.
Yeah.
If they're a bad fit, if you've given them like a proper chance, because I'm not saying that you should kick people out after half a day.
It's like gut feeling.
Yeah, after a gut feeling, you need some actual like reasoning behind it. But once you actually have that, just kick them out immediately. Don't wait around because it's only going to mess the agency up even more.
Yeah.
So that's been like, in my opinion, key for us going from 50 to 100, hiring the right people, having the amazing client results.
Yeah.
We have, for example, performance bonuses with a lot of our clients. So when we hit certain KPIs, we get paid quite a bit of money. And just by focusing on the existing clients, having better service delivery, we can earn the equivalent or even more than what a new client would be. So instead of having to onboard 3 new clients, we just put more effort into the existing clients and we end up earning more money. And of course, a lot less operational drag because we don't have 3 more clients. So just making the most out of every client. We have like 19 clients, I believe,
Yeah.
when we hit 100K a month, which is usually pretty unheard of in the agency game.
Yeah.
People usually have like 70, 80, 100 clients to get to 100K a month. I have heard about that as well. So that's been key from growing from 50 to 100, in my opinion, which we just hit last month.
Yeah.
So we don't really have the experience to talk about going from 100 to 200, but in a couple months, we will.
Yeah.
Our life now. We have 19 clients, I said. We have about 75-80% margins, which is, again, unheard of in the agency game. Show me one other agency owner who's doing 100K a month with 80% margins. How big is our team? Exactly. You
8 people.
8 people. So we have us 2, which is part of the 8.
We basically like drive the ship.
Yeah.
We lead the ship. And then we have one guy, he edits images, graphic designer. One guy edit videos, editor. One guy brief videos and images, creative strategist. One guy managing meta ads, Snapchat and TikTok. And one girl managing Google Ads.
Yeah. And then the assistant.
Yeah, and our assistant, that's basically the glue holding everything.
Yeah.
So it's like basically just a lot of doers with a lot of ownership to their specific domain.
Yeah.
Super small team.
So it depends on how you look at it, where you could even say that we're 6 people, like 6 employees, plus the founders. People usually don't count the founders as employees.
Yeah.
So again, I think we've built an amazing business in that sense, that we're able to scale to 100K a month with a team of 6 people. Of course, you have like Telegram, which is like we're 30 billion with a team of 30 people,
Yeah.
which is like the next level. We're working towards that. But even at this stage, we don't have like a super bloated team. Everyone's doing their best, and we have A-class, like world-class people in every single seat, which is an amazing feeling to have. after quite a bit of hiring and firing, but we
Yeah.
got here eventually.
Yeah, we did.
Nice. So just looking back at this whole journey from the last year and a half, year and 9 months now, what would you do differently if you had to start from scratch?
I think knowing what I do now, yeah. I think you could like jump over. We had the first months of like this agency, yeah, from summer 23 to like maybe 3 months in, not a lot of traction. So 3 months there and 12 months running my own agency before we met. So that's like 1 year and 3 months. Yeah. We could just skip that if we knew that, okay, ads is the way to go. Performance bonuses is the way to go because it's super honest and you need to learn stuff. Yeah. I did spend a lot of time like learning cold email. I did some cold calls and everything. But now I know that the biggest like points is just LinkedIn, sharing stuff I learn and being person there and just focusing on the service itself. It took us some time for you to lock in on Google and me to lock in on Meta. So I think that's like the biggest, because service delivery, it's like, it's the big domino with the easy. And if you break down service delivery, that's like a big abstract word, but in all honesty, it's just, in my case, Meta ads, yeah, Facebook and Instagram. So that means if I'm good at that, I will generate good results, and that will make good case studies, that will make good LinkedIn posts, that will make qualified leads, and that will make my sales calls easier because I have like confidence. Number one, I have proof that I'm the person I say I am. Yeah. Alex Hormoz's definition of like confidence or whatever. Yeah. And we also like just get referrals. We have less churn. We have bigger retainers because we take people from spending 20K USD a month on ads to spending like 60K. And obviously our retainer increases as their numbers do. Yeah. So it's like, it aids every single department of the agency. I don't think there's any like bigger lever that just makes it good.
And I want to highlight that churn point as a last thing to round this off. If you had zero churn in your agency, it would be the easiest business ever to scale because every single new client is just adding on top of what you already have. So you could be shit at sales, you could have the shittiest funnel, you could have the shittiest website, everything could be the shittiest, but if you have the best service delivery and nobody ever churns, you would still be golden. So as you say, it's like the big domino. If you knock that over, all your other issues basically vanish.
And still, like, people selling courses on SMMA and stuff like this, they talk about just, this is my cold calling script, this is my like client acquisition funnel. It's like everything they talk about is on the front end.
And then you have like a small section on service delivery. Here is how you launch a meta ad. Here's how you turn it off. Here's how you scale it. That's it. 10 minutes. You're good to go.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Perfect. Thank you for the talk. I hope this was valuable. And again, Sivert, my co-founder, thank you for being on.
Thank you, guys.